Making headlines tonight, 14th edition of UN International Vesak celebrations conclude in Kandy, graced by the Nepali president and representatives from 72 countries.
First at 9. This is Other Derana 24/7.
Belt and Road Forum for International Cooperation inaugurated in Beijing. India boycotts citing sovereignty concerns. On the sidelines of BNR Forum, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe meets Myanmar's Aung San Suu Kyi and Malaysian Premier Najib Razak. Proposals on key income tax structure. And in sports, Sri Lanka beats Philippines in Asia Rugby Championship.
Good evening, I'm Indivari Amwatha. We take a look at your top story making headlines tonight. The Belt and Road Forum for International Cooperation was inaugurated today in Beijing under the patronage of Chinese President Xi Jinping. Representing Sri Lanka, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe joined at least 29 leaders, including Russian President Vladimir Putin and Pakistani Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif, for the two-day Belt and Road Forum. India chose to boycott the forum.
The two-day Belt and Road Forum is the highest-level international gathering in China under the One Belt, One Road initiative since its launch over 3 years ago. In an address, Chinese President Xi Jinping declared the forum open, pledging over $100 billion to the Silk Road Fund, as he described his signature foreign policy push as inclusive, one that should not be held hostage to old rivalries and power games.
First, we should build the Belt and Road into a road of peace. We should foster a new type of international relations centered on win-win cooperation and forge partnerships of dialogue without confrontation and of partners without alliance. Countries should respect each other's sovereignty, dignity and territorial integrity, each other's development paths and social systems, and each other's co-interests and major concerns. Development is the ultimate key to all problems.
释放各国发展潜力，实现经济大融合。
Named after the historic Silk Road, China's One Belt, One Road initiative seeks to establish connectivity and cooperation through trade and investment across 65 countries, stretching from China's coast to Africa and Europe via the South China Sea and the Indian Ocean in one direction and to the South Pacific in the other direction. The emphasis is on enhancing land as well as maritime routes. A number of leaders addressed the forum, including Russian President Vladimir Putin, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, and Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. Delegates at the forum include officials, entrepreneurs, financiers, and journalists from over 130 countries and representatives of key international organizations such as UN Secretary General Guterres, World Bank President Jim Yong Kim, and Managing Director of the International Monetary Fund, Christine Lagarde. India, however, did not send a representative to Beijing. The forum also features a roundtable discussion between global leaders tomorrow. Meanwhile, on the sidelines of the forum, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe held discussion with the State Councillor of Myanmar, Aung San Suu Kyi. Suu Kyi has expressed that the establishment of a strong democratic system is the biggest challenge Myanmar currently faces. Prime Minister Wickremesinghe assured Suu Kyi Sri Lanka's fullest support. Premier Wickremesinghe also met Malaysian Prime Minister Najib Razak, confirming Sri Lanka's intent to strengthen ties with Malaysia. Tomorrow, the Prime Minister is expected to hold bilateral discussions with both China's President Xi Jinping and Premier Li Keqiang.
The closing ceremony of the 14th UN International Day of Vesak celebrations was held today at the Temple of the Tooth Relic in Kandy under the auspices of the President of Nepal, Bidya Devi Bhandari, and President Maithripala Sirisena today. The annual UN International Day of Vesak celebration this year commenced in Sri Lanka on Wednesday under the patronage of Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
Sri Lanka was able to host the United Nations International Day of Vesak celebrations for the first time in its 14-year history. Coinciding with the International Day of Vesak celebrations, an international conference was also held under the theme Buddhist Teachings for Social Justice and Sustainable World Peace.
The closing ceremony of 14th UN Vesak Festival was commenced by the Nepali President Bindya Devi Bandari. A special exposition of sacred tooth relic was also held for foreign and local delegates.
The closing ceremony held at the Temple of the Sacred Tooth Relic in Kandy was attended by Buddhist clergy and representatives from over 80 nations.
The fundamental lesson learnt by both Nepal and Sri Lanka that underwent agonizing periods of violence, conflict and massive loss of life and property is that the power of the ballot is stronger than of the bullet. As Nepal and Sri Lanka share common faith in Buddhist philosophy, I would like to stress the need for further widening of mutual friendship and cooperation, including a direct air link between the two countries.
The United Nations Day of Vesak, which took place for the last 4 days, was held under the theme Buddhist Teachings for Social Justice and Sustainable World Peace, with the vision of spreading the message of Buddha. I believe it is indeed a blessing and an honor to present the Kandy Declaration, which was compiled with religious clergies and scholars from 82 nations. It is our fervent hope that as the government of Sri Lanka, we will be in the forefront of actioning the declarations announced here today to the local and international Buddhist community.
The President presented a token of appreciation to the chief guest of the occasion, Nepali President Bindya Devi Bandari. Minister of Buddha Sasana Vijayadasa Rajapaksa later read out the Kandy Declaration on the occasion of the 14th United Nations Day of Vesak celebration.
The Derana Sri Kalyani Vesak Zone, organised by the Past Pupils Association of Sri Kalyani Dharma Vidyalaya, together with TV Derana, approached its final day today. The Vesak Zone was open to public from the 11th of this month at the Kalaniya Rajamahavihara. In line with the Derana Sri Kalyani Vesak Zone, the Clean Sri Lanka initiative was launched this morning with a view to promoting awareness on eradicating the use of non-recyclable products.
Clean Sri Lanka is a joint initiative of the Derana Media Network, Past People's Association of Sri Kalyani Dharma Vidyalaya, the Environmental Protection and Management Association of the University of Kalaniya, the Kalaniya Police, officers from the Kalaniya Army Camp and the Kalaniya Pradeshya Sabha. Held at the Kalaniya Rajamahavihara, the initiative was themed Let's Begin from the Temple.
This began with the intention of being an example in promoting a clean environment across the country. We are grateful to Derana for starting such a program. This initiative carried out by Derana is commendable and a great service. We need to move away from the practice of creating garbage mounds, and I wish to state that we will render our full support for the success of this program.
Derana samaga attal bedagena ape palata pirisudu karanna soodanam kena panividiya mama denna kemathi.
The main purpose of this program is to promote the need for a proper waste management system and be an example of proper waste disposal. It is with hope that we wish to promote this initiative by starting this program in temples across Sri Lanka under the theme Let's Begin from the Temple.
සියලු පන්සල් හරහා මේ කසල් කළමනා කරන පණිවිඩය රට පුරා ගෙනියන්නට අපිට හැකියාව ලැබේවයි ප්‍රාර්ථනා කරනවා.
If we want people to come to this country and if you are thinking tourism going to be the key, the industry for the Sri Lankan economy, we need a clean country. People come because there's a lot of people who really travel to Sri Lanka do travel from European countries. And especially for our own people, I think we need a clean country to keep our people healthy. And for the children we are working on the temple, we are starting with the temple as a good example. And so happy that Derana started this program. It's a waiting program. You know what happened a few months back in the country, the disaster we had in Mithunam, but these things had to start somewhere.
President Maithripala Sirisena meanwhile commended the renewal of attention paid to Buddhism in the midst of an increasingly materialistic society. The president made the remarks speaking at a ceremony held yesterday at the Nagahananda International Buddhist University in Kelaniya.
President Maithripala Sirisena was the chief guest of the second day of Vesak celebrations organised by the Nagahananda International Buddhist University in Manelwatta. The president took part in religious observances at the temple and subsequently unveiled a plaque inscribed with the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta at the temple premises. The president was also presented with Buddhist literature authored by Venerable Professor Digalle Mahindathera and Dr. Gamini Karyabasam.
We laid the foundation stone for the Nagahananda International Buddhist University, and at present construction is about 80% complete. We should all be happy about the establishment of a center such as this for the betterment of not only ourselves, but also future generations the world over. In an age where technology has disturbed the serenity of our lives, we must all dedicate ourselves to build a righteous society through tranquil minds, wholesome emotion, and cultivation of spiritual qualities, as Buddhist philosophy gives us what technology cannot. Good qualities in people are being stamped out by the competitiveness of a society driven by greed for money and luxury. Thus, the reawakening of the Buddhist community and the attention given to Buddhist philosophy internationally in the light of international summits, programs and dialogue is commendable.
We
take a short break. We'll be back with more on the other side of this. It is now 1 month to the day since the Meethotamulla garbage dump collapse that claimed 32 lives. Residents at Meethotamulla claim that even a month after the disaster, they still live in a high-risk area.
A part of the Meethotamulla garbage dump collapsed on the 14th of April at around 2:30 p.m. 32 people died while properties were damaged and many were affected. The government provided new shelters for the affected families and residents who lived inside the danger zone identified by the National Building Research Organization. However, 24 individuals from 4 families still live in temporary shelters at the paddy storage facility in Kolonnava. They organized an almsgiving today to invoke blessings for their deceased relatives. Residents of Visithunavatta claim that their lives are still at a risk as they live closer to the garbage dump. They also claim water flows into their residences via the garbage dump and heightens the risk of diseases spread by mosquitoes. They request the authorities to provide them with housing before another tragedy takes place. At first, we were sent to the Terence school. Later, we were brought here. We received no money, but we were asked to leave. We don't know where to go. That's why we live here.
We were asked to leave the place by Monday or Tuesday. Where can we go? Authorities should find a solution for us.
Water is collected here daily. Children are affected by dengue. Our residences are not clean. We ask the President and Prime Minister to attend to our plight soon.
State Minister of Finance Lakshman Yapa Abewardena says the decisions that will be taken by President Maithripala Sirisena between the 18th and the 25th of this month may lead to great changes in the country. The minister made the remark speaking at a ceremony in Hakmana while also commenting on the recent visit of Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
State Minister of Finance Lakshman Yapa Abewardena presided over the ceremony of vesting the newly constructed water supply scheme at Kurundupiyasa in Hakmana.
As we move forward with our work, a major change will occur within the country in the period between the 18th and 25th of this month. Certain decisions taken by the President during that period will cause major changes in the country, making it stronger. There will be a reshuffle of positions which will strengthen us and allow us to carry out our activities. We must fulfill the expectations of the people.
The minister also responded to comments made by certain parties on the visit of Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi for the United Nations International Vesak Day celebrations.
Some call the visit a free giveaway. What did the Indian Prime Minister take from the country? What agreement did he sign? Did he sign any agreements harmful to Sri Lanka? In his speech, he spoke only of the value of Buddhism, how the world can make use of it, and the bond between India and Sri Lanka. Some demanded that black flags be hoisted. Not a single person in this country did so. Extremists were rejected. We don't want a Black July similar to 1983 or to push the country to extremism, but to develop Sri Lanka with the help of other countries.
And still in politics, several politicians of the government and opposition expressed varying opinion on the political shifts taking place with regard to the North Central Provincial Council. Let us now take a look at the rhetorical crossfires taking place over the issue.
Speaking at a meeting in Bandarawela, UPFA parliamentarians Kumara Velgama and Ranjit D'Souza affirmed that the joint opposition will take steps to topple the government starting from the North Central Province.
I have never seen so many people gathered for a May Day rally as they had at Galface. The government is afraid. They are trembling. Thus, a majority of North Central Province councillors have come to former President Mahinda Rajapaksa's side in defiance of the council. This will be the first step in toppling the government. We will make the first move next week by changing the management of the North Central Province. The change will spread to the Central Province and the Southern Province. We will take power in these provinces whether elections are held or not. The President cannot stop us. The time has passed. The Memorandum of Understanding signed by the SLFP and the UNP will expire on the 21st of August. If the SLFP continues to work with the UNP even after that, we will decide to take over the SLFP as well.
Meanwhile, speaking at a media briefing in Anuradhapura, North Central Province Minister for Irrigation, Land, Rural Development and Women's Affairs, HB Semasinghe had this to say.
Everyone wants power. The joint opposition must have thought they can obtain power quickly by taking advantage of this situation. Changes may or may not happen. We have not yet come to a clear agreement or decision whether it will happen. We will make a decision according to the state of events.
UNP parliamentarian Bandulalal Bandarigama also alluded to the shake-up while accusing the joint opposition of following double standards in foreign policy.
When Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi came to the country, the joint opposition threatened to raise black flags. But they held discussions with him in secret. They held those double standards while they were in power and still do now while trying to take power. They are trying to grab power in the North Central Provincial Council and somehow return to rule. This is complete greed for power.
A new proposal on income tax structure was introduced by the Minister of Finance Ravi Karnanayaka following a recent cabinet decision. At a media briefing in Colombo today, the minister stated that the intention of the proposal is to spur investment into the country.
Sri Lanka will exempt several activities from income tax including agriculture, entrepot trade, solid waste management, information technology and business process outsourcing.
The intention of the proposal that have been given was to spur investments into the country, looking at $5 to $6 billion a year. Give a much clearer, simpler administrative Inland Revenue Department and tax incentive. Otherwise, BOI was giving one, Finance Minister was giving another. Straightforward approach that has been given. That is the intention that is there. Dairy, livestock, house construction less than 5 million, all of them have been treated as tax-free ventures.
The corporate tax system has been simplified to a 3-tier rate structure, and concessionary rate is kept at 50% of the standard rate. Minister Karunanayake also made evident that 2016 marked a significant drop in the approved borrowing limit, 4.6% lower than 2015. The estimate borrowing limit for 2017 is lower still, 7.1% less than 2016.
We take a short break, but before that, let's take a look at more business news. Earlier today, the World Bank Board of Directors approved $100 million in financing to support Sri Lanka's higher education sector. The World Bank, in a statement, said this new initiative will help increase enrollment in priority disciplines, improve the quality of degree programs, and promote research and innovation in the higher education sector. The new Accelerating Higher Education Expansion and Development Operation is the first in Sri Lanka to use the World Bank program. This instrument focuses on building institutional capabilities to drive for sustainable development results. A key focus area of the AHEAD project is to enable universities to expand modern teaching, learning and assessment methods which increase the academic quality of undergraduate degree programs and the eventual social and economic contribution of graduates. And now we move into that short break. And we start off with the 2017 Rugby Championship in Malaysia. The Sri Lankan Tuskers picked up their first win in the Division A Asian Rugby Championship, beating Philippines 24 points to 13. Sri Lanka took control of the game in the first half, going into the break leading 11-0 with 2 Thilina Veerasinghe penalties and a brilliant try by Dhanushka Ranjan. In the second half, the Sri Lankans were put under severe pressure by the Philippines, who ran into tries and a penalty. But Sri Lanka managed 2 penalties and Richard Dharmapala ran in a try to calm the win. Sri Lanka will face the United Arab Emirates on Wednesday in their second clash of the tournament. Meanwhile, in schools rugby, league leaders Trinity College beat second-placed Isipathana College in their penultimate game of the A-Division Schools Rugby League. Royal College also picked up a win against fourth-placed Wesley College, lifting them to second and ensuring that next week's Bradby victors will also be crowned league champions.
Trinity scored 2 tries, 1 conversion and 1 penalty in their 15-10 win over defending champions Isipathana at the Pallakale grounds in Kandy. Royal College ran in 5 converted tries on their home grounds in a 35-19 win over Wesley College, putting them ahead of Isipathana in second place. Meanwhile, St. Joseph's College toppled St. Thomas's College by a score of 26-12, regaining the Lady Jayatilaka Memorial Trophy at Havelock Park yesterday.
In IPL news, the 2 top teams in the league, the Mumbai Indians and Sunrisers Hyderabad, picked up wins over the Kolkata Knight Riders and Gujarat Lions last night. The Sunrisers cruised to an 8-wicket win over the Gujarat Lions before the Mumbai Indians beat Kolkata by just 9 runs.
Dwayne Smith and Ishan Kishan got the Lions off to a spectacular start with a 111-run opening partnership of just 65 balls. Unfortunately for Gujarat, a batting collapse was to follow, 4 batsmen getting ducks as the Lions were bowled out for 154. In reply, David Warner anchored the Hyderabad innings with a 52-ball 69, ably supported by Vijay Shankar, who scored 63 off 44, guiding the Sunrisers to an 8-wicket win with 11 balls to spare. In the late game, Ambati Rayudu top-scored for Mumbai with a 37-ball 63, helping the league leaders to 173 for 5 in their 20 overs. Kolkata in response lost 8 wickets as they fell 9 runs short, with Manish Pandey scoring 33 runs off as many balls. Medium pacer Hardik Pandya was spectacular with the ball, taking 2 wickets for just 22 runs in his 4 overs.
In tennis, Rafael Nadal ended a 7-match losing streak against Novak Djokovic yesterday with an emphatic 6-2, 6-4 win last evening to reach the final of the Madrid Open. His opponent tonight will be world number 4 Dominic Thiem, who defeated Pablo Cuevas to advance to his first Masters 1000 Series final.
Rafael Nadal, a 4-time winner in Madrid, got off to a dream start in the 50th meeting between the pair, winning every point in the first game to break Novak Djokovic's serve. Nadal finished off the first set in 40 minutes and again broke the struggling Serb in the opening game of the second. Djokovic had more resistance in the second set but couldn't take Nadal to a third, losing the match 6-2, 6-4. In the other semi-final, 8th seed Dominic Thiem and unseeded Pablo Cuevas engaged in several long rallies, with Thiem managing to break Cuevas once in each set to win 6-4, 6-4.
I'll be back with your international news on the other side of this break. In your top international stories, central Paris came to a standstill today as Emmanuel Macron was inaugurated as France's president for a 5-year term. In a first for the world's 5th largest economy, the 39-year-old centrist does not belong to any traditional political grouping. Macron becomes the youngest post-war French leader and the first to be born since 1958, when President Charles de Gaulle put in place the country's 5th republic.
The 21-gun salute at the Esplanade des Invalides behind the Eiffel Tower marks the handover of power from outgoing President François Hollande to Emmanuel Macron, a former investment banker who served under Hollande as Minister of the Economy.
The labour market will be freed, companies will be supported, initiatives will be encouraged. Culture and education, which build empowerment, creation and innovation, will be at the heart of my project. We will take our responsibilities to bring an appropriate response to the great modern crises when necessary, be it the migrant crisis, the challenges arising from climate change, authoritarian temptations, the excess of world capitalism, and of course, terrorism.
Analysts suggest that his victory, following that of Alexander van der Bellen in Austria and Mark Rutte in the Netherlands, sees a continuation of Europe's resistance to an anti-globalization trend that brought Donald Trump the US presidency and led British voters to choose an exit from the EU.
Days after new South Korean President Moon Jae-in promised dialogue and even a visit to Pyongyang, North Korea has fired another missile in continued defiance of calls to rein in its weapons program. The office of the new South Korean president has labeled it a clear violation of UN resolutions, while Russian President Vladimir Putin's spokesperson said that Putin and Chinese President Xi have discussed the launch and expressed mutual concern. After Friday's global cyber attack that affected over 125,000 systems in 100 countries, security experts warn that another attack may be imminent as soon as tomorrow after taking computers over the virus displayed messages demanding a ransom payment of $300 payable in Bitcoin to unlock files and return them to the user.
A 22-year-old UK security researcher known by the pseudonym Malware Tech was able to bring the spread of the virus to a halt after finding what appeared to be a kill switch in the software's code. However, the researcher warned that it would not take much effort on the part of the virus's creators to change the code and start over, adding that another attack could come as soon as tomorrow. In a tweet, he broadcast the message that users should patch their systems immediately to avoid danger of infection from a new variant. A security update or patch was released by Microsoft last month to address the vulnerability, but many of the affected computers had not applied the update or were using an operating system that is no longer supported.
That's all from Other Derana 24/7 Primetime News at 9. Do join us tomorrow at the same time. But before we go, we'd like to leave you with some visuals of the lights and colours of Vesak glowing in Jaffna, a shining example of national goodwill and how religion and culture are meant to be shared.
Bringing you the news and information 24 hours a day. This is Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Other Derana 24/7.